So in this quick video, I want to demonstrate how we configure U-turn net or hairpin net. We have a basic topology here with one subnet, and this is 172.168.100. And in this subnet, this PC is going to be .200, and the DC, which is essentially a web server, is .254. The only policy that exists right now on the firewall is Internet Access Policy. It allows this entire subnet access to the internet. So let's hop on to PC1 and just verify that. So we're on PC1, and as we can see, we already have internet access. Facebook loads, and we can go to Wikipedia. That loads, and like we said, this server here is running web services. So let's test that out. 172.168.100.254. And there we have it. We're accessing this via the LAN. Now let's validate our firewall policy. On the FortiGate, we have only two active interfaces. That's port 2 and 3. Port 2 is our internet interface, and port 3 is our LAN. We call this LAN 100. And looking at the firewall policy, the policy is simple and straightforward. It says allow from LAN 3 to LAN 2 the subnet LAN 100, which is 172.168.100/24, allow to the internet, and then we net. Let's maybe start by looking at the session table. And looking at our session table, what I want to do is add a column here that shows us source net address, and I'm going to drag it maybe over here. So we can see that all our traffic to all these destinations is being source netted behind our exit interface, which is our internet interface, 192.168.4.101. And we know this to be this interface over here, 192.168.4.101. So this is common. This is what we're used to. Now let's configure hairpin net. Since we already have the internet access policy, that's part 1 taken care of. The next thing we need to do is to create our virtual IP, because hairpin net works hand in hand with destination net. According to our topology here, the traffic would come from PC1, go across the switch and ingress the firewall on port 3, match the virtual IP and the routing, and then get returned back, translated. So we do need our virtual IP, and let's see how that works. I'm going to create our new virtual IP, and I'm just going to call this web01. Our external interface address, we said our external address is 192.168.4.101, and we already have the address object for 172.168.100.101. I'm just going to put that over there. This came from our last lab. And then we enable port forwarding. Port 80 translates to port 80, and OK. And then our firewall policy, we create a new one. I'll call this one web inbound. Our incoming interface is going to be our internet facing interface, and our outgoing interface would be where the destination actually resides, which is here, LAN 100. The source would be any, and the destination will be our virtual IP. And service, since we know this is port 80, we're just going to use the service HTTP. We disable net because net is already handled by the virtual IP machine. Click on OK. And now it's time to test our config. I'm going to kill this session over here and then access that web page using the external interface address of the firewall. That's 192.168.4.101. And then we get forwarded out to the web server, even though the IP address still looks like the IP on the external side of the firewall. Now let's have a look at the firewall. Let's filter by all the traffic that's going to port 80. And from that traffic, we can see our traffic coming in with the destination address of 192.168.101. That gets source netted to 172.168.100.1, which is what we expect. Now let me see if I can add another column here. Now I'm going to add the destination interface as well as the source interface. I think that'll be good enough. And I'm also going to reorder these interfaces. I'm going to put them over here. Okay, so now I've reordered the columns a little bit. So I've put the source interface and destination interface where they would make sense. Now, interpreting this, we can see that the traffic came in from 172.168.100.200, which is PC1. The source interface for that was LAN 100. Its destination was 192.168.4.101 at port 80. The destination interface for that was not the internet interface. It was not our WAN facing side. It was the same interface. Therefore, this traffic went out, came in the same interface, went out the same interface, and it was source translated to 172.168.100.1. Let's look at the sessions from the viewpoint of PC1. And from the viewpoint of PC1, we can see our session is in the established state, and the destination there is 192.168.4.101 at port 80. Now let's look at this from the viewpoint of our web server. And when we look on the web server, we can see that our local server here has a session with 172.168.100.1, which we know to be the interface address of the firewall. And so our web server, or our DC01, is not talking to PC1 at all. It's instead talking to the firewall. And this is how you configure Hairpin Net or U-Turn Net. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.